This is Extra Paycheck Podcast, episode number 160.
You're listening to Extra Paycheck Podcast, where you will learn how to build and grow your own successful online business. Now, here's your host, Alex Soul.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Extra Paycheck Podcast. This is episode number 160, and today's special guest is Carson, the founder of Treehouse, where you can learn how to code and much more. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, Ryan, and welcome to the Extra Paycheck Podcast.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Please tell us a little bit more about yourself and what is that you do as a business.
You bet. So I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Treehouse. We are a tech company that is an online school. And so we teach adults all around the world how to code and make apps so that they can get jobs in the tech industry. I've been doing it for about 8 years now, and we have taught over 850,000 people in the past 8 years, and we have 80,000 enrolled students right now. So that's us.
Wow, that's amazing. So the Treehouse is 8 years old.
Correct. Believe it or not.
Wow, that's a big achievement in this space, I find, because we hear about a lot of courses popping up here and there, but honestly, I'm surprised that it's been 8 years and almost a million students. That's crazy.
I know. Thanks. It does feel like forever in today's world. In reality, 8 years is still a brand new company. So it's kind of forever and brand new at the same time.
Yeah. And I guess my first question would be, how did all of that get started? How did you get the idea to teach people how to code and do that online?
You bet. So it started off because I got a computer science degree in college, and then I got my first job as a developer. And I realized I didn't need my college degree. It was like it's like I had studied electrical engineering, but I wanted to be an electrician. Mm-hmm. It was more than what I needed. And so that kind of bothered me. And I eventually decided, you know what, I want to start a school that will give people what they need for a much more affordable price online, so they can learn, while they're busy and while they're taking care of their kids or while they're working another job. So that's where it really all came from.
Sounds great. And before we get into the actual business, let's jump into consumer side of it. So someone who wants to learn how to code, how does it work? How much does it cost? How long does it take? And what kind of process they go through if they go through your company, through your school?
You bet. So the way it works is you go to teamtreehouse.com and you can actually sign up for a free trial. So you choose our $25 a month program, and then you use it for free for 7 days. And during that time, you basically pick a simple track. So you might say, I want to learn how to make web apps, or I want to learn how to make iPhone apps, or I want to learn how to make Android apps. So you choose your track, and then you simply start watching videos online, and then you code with your teacher while you're learning. So it's all done, on a laptop or on a computer from home or from wherever. And then after those 7 days, you can choose to continue to learn. And at that point, you would pay $25 a month until you have achieved your goal. And then for folks who really want a dedicated experience where we actually give them all that, plus we tell them what projects to build, what order to build those projects in, and then we grade those projects. And we give them access to a chat room where they can ask for help from other students and our mentors. That is called our tech degree, and that is $200 a month. So you can upgrade to that, and that typically takes 6 to 9 months if you're learning 1 to 2 hours a day.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, and it's not as long as I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's designed for people who have busy lives that, can't go back to college or can't go to a boot camp, but they still want to learn how to code, and they want a lot of support, and we have thousands of people in the tech degree, and thankfully, it really does work. We have students that have finished it and then gotten jobs in tech, so it's exciting.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense, and that's really great to hear.
Thanks.
And Ryan, so how did you initially market that platform?
So we actually started out in the very beginning. Before I started Treehouse, I had another company that taught people how to code in person. So we did these one-day workshops where people would show up, and then we'd have a teacher, and then they would learn how to code in person. And to market that business, we actually had a blog. And the blog was called Think Vitamin, which is a terrible name, but it's what it was called. And we eventually, through content marketing, we got thousands and thousands of visitors to that site. And then we would market those events, those training events to them on the site. And that worked really well. And then eventually when we launched Treehouse, we actually launched Treehouse, on top of that blog. And, we really marketed to our existing base that we had built up through content marketing. So content marketing was always really key to our strategy and continues to be today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really awesome. And this is, I think, one of my biggest recommendations when I talk to people who are starting a business online, especially. I always tell them, well, provide great value, write great content. And now, it's more of a video content as well. It takes a big part of it all. But yeah, I agree with you. Content is a huge marketing tool. And I think a lot of people still don't use it properly, especially businesses.
Right. It's so powerful. Gosh. Yeah. And it's fun to make. It's not easy, but I agree. It's really key. We also have podcasts. So now we've got a couple podcasts that we do, and as they're very effective and powerful, and that kind of thing. It takes a lot of effort, but it really is worth the outcome.
Yeah, and I think it's the good thing about it is that the content stays on and keeps marketing for you. Right. while you sleep. If you do PPC, you have to keep injecting that money into your campaigns. You have to make sure the ads are running properly. But that content, as you said, it's hard to create, but once it's great and it's out there, it's gonna serve you for a very long time.
Exactly. Yep. The last thing I want to mention, we also have a business customer. So we sell to consumers who are looking to learn how to code, but we also sell to businesses. And we have a lot of amazing businesses that use Treehouse to upskill or reskill their employees into their technical departments. So, for instance, HubSpot uses Treehouse to teach their folks that are in customer success or customer support how to code, and then they can then get into the engineering organization. So we do that as well.
That's very interesting. And Ryan, did you guys come up with that idea of pitching this kind of service to businesses, or was it something that they approached you with and asked if you could help them with that?
We actually saw businesses using Treehouse to do this. And then we realized, gosh, I guess we can help businesses as well. So it started that way. And now we focus a lot on businesses and helping them. It's become a big part of our business. So
that's really awesome.
Thanks.
And there are many places to learn how to code right now online. What makes your company stand out and being better than the others?
So we are the best at beginner content. So, companies like Pluralsight are great, and they have a ton of content, and they're really good at getting people from kind of intermediate to advanced. But we don't do that. We focus specifically on beginners. So we have full-time in-house teachers that teach our content. So, unlike a lot of schools out there, they have guest teachers or part-time teachers. And the problem with that is that you don't get consistent curriculum from one course to the next, and you also don't get updated curriculum. So a good example of that is, we have a track that teaches you how to make iPhone apps. Well, Apple came out and launched Swift, a brand new programming language. So we actually had to redo all of our content to be Swift focused. And we also, figured out that we needed to adapt that content all the time, right? So the trouble is if you have a guest teacher come in, they're not really going to be motivated to always keep their content up to date because that's a lot of work, which means it's very expensive. Whereas we have teachers and they love teaching students and their job is to keep their students happy. And so we're really designed to create the best curriculum. Plus we have 8 years of experience, like I said, so we've been doing this for a long time. And I think that's harder than it looks. So those are a couple things. We also focus heavily on video. I myself find it kind of hard to learn if I have to read the entire curriculum. It's helpful to have teachers walk you through it and explain it. So we're really good at that as well. So those are a couple differentiating factors for us. Awesome.
Thank you for sharing, Ryan. And that fact that you mentioned that you are keeping everything updated and keep renewing your content, your educational content, that's crazy. As you mentioned, it's not easy. It's not cheap. And I've seen a lot of training platforms, and I'm not talking about coding. I'm talking about so many different things that I've been a part of, that I took on as a customer, you see a basic tutorial on setting up a WordPress website. And that tutorial is obviously from 5 years ago. Nothing looks the same anymore. Yet people don't take their time.
Yeah, it changes all the time. It's brutal. And so we're really focused on that and showing people that we really do care about updating our content, our curriculum, and it's really hard, but we're excited about doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how possible is it for teachers to join your platform and work with you guys?
So we're pretty picky about our teachers. Like I said, it's one of our most important things. So what we're actually doing, though, is we are starting to recruit teachers that we've worked with a lot as students. So what we find is that, some of the best students become the best teachers because they learn they know how to learn. Right. They know how hard it is to learn. And so all those things kind of play into that. So we don't hire a ton of teachers all the time. It's something that we do occasionally, but I guess I'm saying, unfortunately, it's kind of hard. Mm-hmm. And it's not that you have to have, years and years and years of experience. It's just that you have to have the right behaviors that we care about. So sorry, that's not the most... It's not the most uplifting answer, but it's the truth.
That's a great answer, and that answer kind of proves the quality of service of your business, of your school.
Yeah, we take it really seriously. I mean, we even we have acting coaches, we have voice coaches. We really really work hard on our curriculum, and it comes out consistently in our NPS score, our Net Promoter Score. So we measure that pretty hard, and thankfully our NPS is really good. So I'm proud of that.
Mm-hmm. And let me guess, one of the reasons you are hiring your own best students is because they also know the platform very well. So when they create their content, they know how it should feel and how it should be more natural, kind of to your platform.
Exactly.
That's very smart.
And it works. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that's very smart, and that's a great idea to go about it.
Thank you.
All right. So Ryan, you mentioned that before paying the $25 a month, we have a chance to try out the platform for a whole week, which I think is incredible. And you wouldn't believe how many services I am paying for right now that offered me something similar. Try before you buy. I find this is great, and I don't know why more people don't do that in 2018. But how did you get to that decision? Because, this is a hard one. For a lot of businesses who actually thought of that model, they're like, people just going to grab everything they need to grab within the first 7 days or a week or a month or whatever the time frame is, and they're just going to run off. Like, how did you how did you come to that conclusion that you need to do that and it's actually going to increase your sales in the long run, I guess?
Well, part of it is that learning how to code takes a lot longer than 7 days. And that's part of it, that we can give you the opportunity to try Treehouse, and there isn't, a practical way for you to literally learn how to code in 7 days. So that's part of it. But also the second part of that is a deep belief in our product that, the product should speak for itself. If it isn't good enough to get you to convert to paid after 7 days, then it isn't good enough. We don't need to trick you into paying us and then, running off with your money. We actually want to show you how good we are and then let you make that decision. So the wild thing is, I can't share it publicly, but, our conversion rates from free trial to paid are very, very good. Which is kind of unbelievable if you think about it. You would think that most people would try Treehouse and not convert to paid because you have to pay, right?
Yeah.
So I think the two things that I'm saying: strong belief in your product, and number two, you can't consume all of our product in 7 days anyway, so that's okay.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And is that something that you tested before, or did you go with that model from the get-go?
Gosh, let me think. It's been 8 years, so I'm trying to remember what we did in the beginning. I don't know if we had a free trial in the beginning, to be honest. I think it might have been you had to pay from day one. But I don't know is the answer. But I do know that we've changed the amount of time of the free trial, to various numbers of days. Mm-hmm. And we've ended up on 7 days, and that's worked really well for us. But I would encourage people to experiment with that and measure the results.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And as you mentioned, it's very different for every single business.
It is.
I guess for some, the free trial wouldn't work either.
Yeah, I know. It's a mix. You got to kind of do what's right for your business, but also be willing to experiment with stuff. So,
yeah, that's great. And so, Ryan, when you were, I don't want to say building, but rather growing this company, when you were growing Treehouse, what would you say was maybe one of the hardest moments, or maybe had a moment when the growth seemed to stall or not go anywhere? Did you have that kind of moment, and how did you overcome that? Yeah. I mean, over the course of any business, you will definitely see ups and downs. And, I would encourage everyone to listen out there that it's never, up and to the right all the time for everybody. That's basically kind of marketing lies. So yeah, we've had our slowdowns sometimes. And, the thing that helped us get through that, is a strong, deep belief in what we're doing, so I started Treehouse because I believe morally, that it's the right thing to do to get people education at a more affordable price so that they can change their own lives. So when we hit a slowdown, it's like, okay, this is going to happen. Let's just keep going. The second thing practically, is you have to be testing a lot of things to figure out what is causing the slowdown and then address it. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage everyone out there to know their key numbers. Okay, what are the, 4 or 5 key numbers that drive your business, and are you watching them, at least weekly, if not daily? And if they change, can you dig into why they're changing? And then it's like a mystery. It's like a detective story where, you're getting more and more clues and you're digging more and more in. And then you finally figure out, okay, I think this is what's going on. And then I test it. So it's never, a clear answer. Like, yes, this is the exact problem. I'm going to go fix it, and that's going to change everything. It's always it's like a detective story, and eventually you figure it out. And you have to make sure you have enough cash in the bank to survive those downturns, and then you're fine. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that. Great information.
Yeah.
And Ryan, one of the last questions here. When you actually built the Treehouse, when you switched from that offline training to online, Was that a question of scalability to you, or was it something else that pushed you to go online?
Both. So it was a scalability issue because I firmly believe that the world would be a better place if more people could learn how to code. And so I wanted to scale that, and say, okay, how do we get this in front of more people? So that was part of it. And secondly, in-person training is a very stressful business because your cash flow is very lumpy and it's hard to build a recurring revenue business, in person. And so part of that was, let's move to a recurring revenue model. And, I'm really glad we did it. We have a much better business now for sure.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. And thank you for answering that. All right, Ryan. So before you go, what would be your main advice for beginner entrepreneurs, especially people who want to launch something online? What is that one most important thing they should pay attention to or they should try to achieve?
Well, I think the first thing is try to work on a problem that you truly care about. It is going to be so hard and so discouraging that, if you don't truly care about what you're doing, eventually you'll quit. So I would encourage people to try to find that thing that they really care about, even if it's not as exciting or as scalable or as hot as everyone says. It's much more important that you actually care about the problem you're solving than it is, how sexy it is. So if you really care about something, pay attention to that and less attention about, what, people are saying about it online or what all the venture capitalists are saying or what all the entrepreneurs are saying. Just follow the thing that you actually would like to get out of bed every day and work on.
I love that reply. Be passionate about what you do. That's really awesome.
Yeah, and it's hard to find that. I didn't find mine until I was in my 30s. I'm 40 now. So I didn't really discover it till I was, 32, 33. So hang in there. A lot of people don't even discover it till they're 40, 50, 60. It's okay, and you will find it, but try not to compromise on that.
All right, awesome. Thank you for encouraging us, Ryan.
No problem. Thanks for letting me say those things. I wish I had someone say those things to me earlier. So
yeah. And before you go, Ryan, where could people go to find out more about you, about your company, and maybe start learning how to code?
You bet. So just Google Ryan Carson. You'll find me. I'm on Twitter as Ryan Carson. I'm on Instagram as Ryan Carson. And then, of course, Treehouse is teamtreehouse.com. Please stop on by and say hi.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ryan, for taking your time to come on that podcast. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your tips.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Extra Paycheck Podcast. As usual, head over to extrapodcast.com/160. This is where I'll be putting up a show notes page with all the information and resources mentioned in today's episode. Also, head over to extrapodcast.com/YouTube in order to subscribe to our channel, as well as extrapodcast.com/Spotify in order to follow the show on Spotify. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you next Monday.